Hey critter enthusiasts, welcome back to Critter Ed TV. I'm Amelia and this is my older sister Sandra.
Hello everyone! Today we're coming to you from the tropical jungle of Tucson, Arizona.
And if you think it's weird for her to be calling Tucson a tropical jungle, you haven't been here during monsoon season. Just look at the bushes that my dad said. Some of them are over 9 feet tall.
The Sonoran Desert is the wettest, greenest desert on Earth, and no place in our desert is greener than Tucson.
July 2021 was Tucson's wettest month ever, and all the flooding has brought our subterranean animals to the surface.
Including one that people can search for their entire lives and never see in the wild, the western coral snake.
Our dad was totally geeking out over it.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, come on, I didn't geek out.
Yeah, you did. You literally said, "It's so pretty," like 12 times.
I literally saw your eyes glaze over.
Well, it was a pretty snake.
It was gorgeous.
But we can still speak in full sentences.
Oh, come on, don't exaggerate. I could still speak in full sentences.
No, you couldn't. You were starstruck by a snake.
Well, I'd never seen a coral snake before, and it was really pretty.
That's 14 times now.
Welcome back to Critter Ed TV. I'm Jed Dodds and I'm here with Clint Elliott, the dude who totally geeked out over a coral snake.
Jed, my daughter's picking on me about this snake is one thing. We're of the same generation. You're supposed to have my back.
We're not of the same generation.
But we're only 10 years apart.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with defining
Anyways,
it.
I totally understand why Clint geeked out over the coral snake because it's such an amazing animal that spends most of its life under the ground, only coming to the surface at nighttime when we rarely get a chance to see him. Now, first we need to talk about that coral snakes are the most venomously toxic animal in North America. And working with a venomous animal, we've got to talk about safety.
We certainly do. It's so vital. And I personally walk a very thin line when I discuss safety with venomous snakes because I've handled them before on this channel and I've been called out for doing that on social media.
Yeah, we've had comments on this channel and on Facebook that you are setting a bad example by handling a venomous animal, but you actually welcome that criticism.
Oh, I 100% welcome it. Folks, any comment that is respectful and implores the public not to pick up venomous snakes will never be deleted.
Yeah, and most people don't have the experience that you have, and we make those decisions based on certain situations, whether or not we're going to handle that venomous animal or just shoot them with a camera from afar.
Yeah, in our rattlesnake relocation episode, a 3.5-foot long western diamondback had made a den under the house of our Flemish giant rabbits. This was a potentially dangerous situation for the bunnies. Due to tight quarters and the size of the snake, I felt it was safer for me to gently place my hand at the base of the snake's head and at mid-body, rather than using fully mechanical means to remove and relocate it.
Clint, it was pretty amazing how calm that diamondback was throughout that entire relocation.
It was extremely calm. Jed, you know me. Would I ever free handle a venomous snake to show off?
Absolutely not.
And do you believe me when I say that my heart rate slows down when I handle snakes? And I would only handle a venomous one if I feel it's safer both for myself and the snake.
Yeah, you can actually see that when Clint is approaching the snake, that he walks very slow, he's very calm, and just by doing that, that helps the snake to feel safe.
Jed, did I put my hands on the tiger rattlesnake that we filmed, despite the fact that there's never been a single human death attributed to that species?
No, because it was out in the open with plenty of room for it to move without feeling threatened.
Exactly. There was no reason for me to put my hands on that snake. Folks, don't watch me handle snakes and assume it's simple enough for you to do it. If you get bit and go to the hospital, don't blame me.
And that brings us to the coral snake, which is an animal that no one should pick up under any circumstance.
And that isn't just because of the venom potency. Jed, coral snakes move incredibly fast, have very erratic movements, and even wearing gloves isn't something that you can do because you could very easily squeeze too tight and injure the snake or kill it.
Well, Clint, we got a call from my father-in-law who found a vibrantly colored snake in his backyard, which just happened to be the same place that he found the tiger rattlesnake. He was fairly confident that it was a coral snake and it was slithering right into a bin. So the first thing we needed to do was confirm that indeed it was a coral snake. So why don't we go to that footage of the snake in the bin to explain how we did that?
Let's all geek out together.
Amelia, there's a famous and somewhat controversial poem that people use to try to identify coral snakes based on which color bands touch each other.
There are several versions of it, but the one that I was taught is red on black, venom black, red on yellow, kill a fellow.
The poem tells us if we see a snake with red and yellow bands that touch, it's a coral snake and it can kill us. Instead of a harmless scarlet king snake, which has the same color bands but with red touching black instead of yellow. But Sandra, is the poem always accurate?
In North America, it usually is. The problem is that the poem only works here because coral snakes in other areas can look completely different, sometimes having no stripes at all. And even here, coral snake patterns vary, so the poem isn't a guarantee.
The downside to the poem, especially in Arizona, is that it gets harmless snakes killed. The red on black scarlet king snake doesn't even live here, but the beautiful western shovel-nosed snake does. And that snake can have, you guessed it, red stripes that touch yellow. People see this harmless snake in their yard and kill it thinking it's a coral.
Wow, that's horrible for shovel-nosed snakes, who play a vital role in the health of our Sonoran Desert ecosystem by eating potentially destructive beetle larvae. So Amelia, since the poem has limited value, are there other ways we can confirm this is a coral snake?
Well, a coral snake has a black head, all the way behind its eyes. The bands also completely circle the body, although they can become lighter at the belly. Shovel-nosed snakes lack both of these features.
So now that we've identified this snake as a coral, let's learn more about it. Sandra, what's a cool fact that most people don't know about coral snakes?
They are part of the same family of snakes as the Indian cobra, which means that corals have highly toxic venom.
That's right. Coral snakes possess a powerful neurotoxin that causes paralysis and respiratory failure among its favorite prey, which in Arizona is other subterranean snakes, like Smith's black-headed, which we did an episode on, and the blind snake, which is often mistaken for a worm when seen.
Given the extreme toxicity of coral snake venom and the dire warning provided by the poem, many people assume that corals also pose the biggest threat of any snake to human safety, but that couldn't be less true.
Sandra, why is that?
Western coral snakes are tiny, with correspondingly tiny heads. They are front-fanged like a rattlesnake, but their fangs are erect and fixed in place, which means that they have to be incredibly short to not puncture the bottom of the snake's mouth.
Amelia, why does fang length matter when it comes to the level of danger a snake poses to people?
It matters with corals because their fangs are so short that it would take a perfectly placed bite to pierce human skin.
They are also docile and not prone to bite in self-defense. Plus, their tiny heads yield a correspondingly tiny venom load. Add all this to the fact that they are rarely encountered, and the chance of you receiving a medically relevant coral snake bite is incredibly low.
Incredibly low, but not impossible, which is why the beauty of our western coral snake can be enjoyed up close, but not too close.
Did you know that there hasn't been a death caused by a coral snake bite since the 1960s, and there has never been a death caused by our western coral snake?
Bites are so rare that the production of antivenom was suspended in 2003, and the last batch expired in 2008. That's 13 years ago, and there hasn't been a single death since. Did you know most experts believe that you don't have to relocate a coral snake away from your property for your safety or your pets?
If they're left alone, they'll quickly retreat back underground, likely to never be seen again.
Wow, coral snakes truly are one of the most beautiful snakes on the planet and one of the most misunderstood.
Yeah, and all because of a silly poem that it turns out we should never rely on in the first place.
And it's probably time for us to admit that we may have exaggerated a little bit with Clint geeking out over the coral snake. After all, it was him to figure out to use a log for the snake to cling on to for us to get the amazing footage that we did.
Yeah, Jed, I'm good for it.
He always is. So Amelia and Sandra, is there one more thing you want people to know about coral snakes before we leave?
Coral snakes have one of the coolest adaptations for self-defense.
Instead of biting, they coil up, stick their tail in the air, and make a weird noise.
All right, guys, let's call it what it is. Coral snakes stick their tail up in the air to produce a really loud snake fart to ward off predators.
How cool is that they would rather do that than use venom to push those predators away? What a cool snake.
Yeah. And Jed, I just want to give a huge shout out to your father-in-law. who allowed us on the property to film this beautiful snake, but also released it into the ecosystem of his yard, which is by far the safest thing for the snake. And you're going to see that footage momentarily.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next time here on Critterette TV, where fear becomes wonder and wonder becomes passion.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.